Good afternoon. It's good to see you brave souls here. I thought when the weather hit today that might affect you guys a lot, but thanks for coming out. We always appreciate seeing you. Continue to eat if you've just gotten your meal. I know that there's plenty of food up there, and it's a great meal for a day like this. I want to hit 2 or 3 things before we bring our coaches up to talk about where our programs are right now. First, in terms of ticket sales, if you have a group at all that's interested in coming to any of the games the rest of the year, there's some folks outside when you came up to the top of the steps that they'll be there to help you in terms of any groups that you might have that you might be thinking about bringing out. So check them out if you would. Also downstairs, the Deacon Shop is open. If you need any weight gear for the game tonight or for upcoming games as well, 10% off today only. So if you have any ideas of getting anything to wear now, would be a great day to do that. So again, 10% off today only downstairs. Also want to make note, and you'll want to mark your calendars, our next luncheon is going to be on February the 7th. That'll be at noon. That'll be the annual football signing day luncheon. That'll be our final luncheon of the year. Again, right here, Coach Grove and his staff will be here. It's really a neat time as they look at that's just right after the signing day, and so they've got video clips of all the 2013 signees. It's really a fun time, and that's $17. You can sign up for that after you leave today. You can sign up for that right outside. Again, that table at the top of the steps, or you can call the marketing office, and that number is 758-5011. Women's basketball game tonight against Clemson. That'll be over at the Joel. If you need additional tickets for that as well, you can see some of the folks here, and they'll help you out with that. Obviously, we always ask you to wear your old gold and black. And again, that's tonight. The tip is at 6:30. Is that right, Jen? Okay, 6:30. So be in your seats early and cheer the ladies on as they come out onto the court. Men's basketball will be on the road at Virginia Tech, weather permitting. I think the snow is supposed to come late tonight. We'll be there. We'll be fine. That's at 2 o'clock, and not a bad trip up there, just around 2 hours, and you can watch that on TV. If you can't make it, I'd rather you listen to the radio, but that's your choice. And then the men will be back home on Tuesday night. Got a real big game, obviously, with North Carolina State, asking you to wear gold for that one, all right? And the marketing folks will have about 5,000 gold metallic shakers out in the seats. So get there early so you can get those, and you can also, if you need more tickets to that game, you can purchase those downstairs today or call the ticket office. That's 758-DEEK, or you can go online and do that as well, wakeforestsports.com, and you can simply click tickets. All right. We're going to bring Coach Hoover up. They had a huge win at Florida State not long ago. That was one of the big wins in our program's history of the last 2 or 3 years. And to give us the State of the Union and more about that game tonight with Clemson, please welcome first-year head coach Jen Hoover.
First of all, thank you, Stan, and thank everyone for being here. It's always a pleasure to stand in front of those who bleed black and gold and brag on our team and talk about our improvement and where we're trying to go. And so it's an honor to be here today in front of you and have a chance to visit with you as well. I'll start with our non-conference schedule. We had a tough non-conference schedule. We finished that non-conference with a 7-5 record. 3 of those losses coming against ranked opponents. When I got the job, I looked at the schedule and I sent Mike Peterson a thank you note right away. More of a what did you set us up for note. But it was one of those situations where we have 5 seniors that had been through the rigors of the ACC, and they were ready to be tested. And I thought for our staff and our players, we talked about this is what playing in the ACC is going to be like. So let's play them. Let's go out and let's play them. Now, with that, we took some hard knocks. I was really proud of our players. We went out to Kansas, and we played Kansas, who was a top 20 team at the time, to a one-possession game. We had a couple key turnovers late. They have a couple wooden candidates on their team and a post player, Caroline Davis, and their point guard. And we played them punch for punch, if you will, and just really was excited about the possibilities of what this team could do. And that was very early in our season, kind of still not sure who was going to be a scorer, who was going to be a passer, who was going to defend, who was going to stop some of these people we got to play in our conference. So we went out there. Now, we had a wonderful trip down to the Virgin Islands. It was a great team bonding experience. It was a very tough trip for us on the court. We started off with UConn, and that was not a good start. Then we faced another ranked opponent in Purdue, the Boilermakers, who are a top 15 team right now. And again, kind of a copy of the Kansas game. Really played them well, found out we could score against anybody, found out we could defend some of the best players that are out there. We could really take a game plan and put it into action, but fell short. And I think that piece of that and the growth of this team and our new staff and trying to figure out what coaches expected and what were we going to be about as a basketball team brought us up against a really tough Marist team. And those in the women's basketball world, Marist is a team that on Selection Sunday, and no matter who you are, even if you're Baylor or UConn or Duke, you do not want to see your name matched up against that team. The coach there has done a phenomenal job. He's upset many people. He's been in the Sweet 16. Well, he put it on us, and he put it on us really quick. And before our kids kind of could have a breath and say, wait a second, who is Marist? We were digging a hole and trying to dig ourselves out of it. So, that part of the non-conference schedule was really tough on us. But we came back and, went through some adversity, and we still, as a team, we were growing. And I think that was the biggest part about this group. We were growing as a staff. We were growing as a team. We were trying to figure out, again, what we wanted to stand for. When I came here, we talked about as a program that we wanted to do what's right all the time. No matter if somebody's watching, no matter if anybody's watching. And that translated onto the court. We were always going to play hard. No matter what the score was, we had to play hard, and it was about Wake Forest. It wasn't about our opponents. And we had to learn some lessons through that. So I'm really proud of our players. I could talk forever about a few of them in particular that have really just taken a lot on their shoulders. Lakevia Boykin is just a phenomenal senior for us. She is steady as can be. She kind of has, if you've been to a game, you kind of see that she pretty much plays kind of like this all the way through. And occasionally you'll catch a fist pump out of her, and we're like, whoa, what's got into Kiwi tonight? Well, down at Florida State, Kiwi took it on. She put up 34 against them, and they were number 18th in the country, and they had no answer for her. And we did that with Chelsea Douglas, who's our starting point guard, on the bench a lot in the first half with foul trouble, and that means Kiwi has to play the point. But I think Kiwi would play the center for us if we asked her to. She's that kind of kid. She just plays with the heart of a champion, will do whatever we ask her to do. Sometimes she might look at me like, Coach, really? You want me to be the center? But she will do whatever we need her to do. And she's one of our captains. She got voted as one of our captains, her and Michaela Walker. And I think they've really taken that on and really, ran with that. So I'll talk a little bit about ACC. We came back after Christmas, I guess, and had to regroup. We went down to Virginia Tech, and I don't really want to talk about Virginia Tech. Coach, get them for us, because we sure didn't show up. Okay, and we've reflected on that game a lot, and the best thing I can say about our game against Virginia Tech is it's getting brought up throughout the season, by the players, by us. We can't have another Virginia Tech. That's what we talk about all the time. I think these seniors had never been beaten by them, and I just think they kind of took them a little lightly, and they'll admit that. And for whatever reason, it's right before Christmas. It was December 22nd. There was nobody around. We just didn't show up, and that was a hard pill to swallow for all of us going into our Christmas break. So I think we challenged them to really look at themselves over the Christmas break, recommit themselves. What am I doing? What can I do more? And since that point, and I really do think that was a turning point for us in the season, we've had a different mentality in practice. And that's where I can say the biggest difference has been. Our practices have become very intense, very competitive, very much make each other better and push each other. Now, with that, we've had a few injuries. We've had some concussions. We've had a sprained ankle here and there. And I told him, I said, I'll take that any day. Because when we do that, we are putting that kind of effort on the floor for the most part. So we came back after Christmas and had 2 non-conference games to warm back up, and that got us going. And really a Nevada game that the defense and the way we want to play really was on display. We were able to force turnovers. I think we forced 33 turnovers in that game, and we were just out and running the whole game. And that's what this team, one of the things we talk about a lot is playing to our strengths. And one of our strengths is when you've got a 4-player that's 6'4" and as long as De'Erica Hamby and can run as fast as any of the guards on our team and a lot of the people in our league, we've got to get out and run and play. And they've really taken heart to that and take a lot of pride in being able to kind of create those opportunities. So in conference, we started off 2-2. after the Virginia Tech loss, we came back. We played a tough NC State team at home, played very well, building on that Nevada win, and were able to, beat them convincingly at times. Really thought it was some of the best basketball we played all year, sharing the basketball. We had, I think, 4 players in double figures for that game, and just really, really a tough defensive effort against the NC State team that I think really was looking to come in here and say, well, it's Wake Forest. So they were looking forward to playing us. So we were really excited about that. And then, Stan touched base a little bit on the Florida State game, and that was another one. They're an amazing offensive team. They have 5 players that average double figures, 5 players that shoot over 50% from the floor, and we could just rattle these stats off. And our players, I could tell in their eyes, were just saying, "Not against us, not against us. We're gonna get down and we're gonna defend." And whether we played man, whether we played zone, whatever we were in, we were so active that night that, again, that's probably one of our best games. And we had a few Deacon Club members from down in the Florida area. We were really happy to see. We had one with the Deacon hat up in the stands, and we had a guy on that had his tie-dye vest on, tie-dye Nation vest. It was awesome. So we were excited to see a few Deacon Club members and faithfuls down there supporting the team and cheering us on. And, we had a phenomenal win. And, we were really feeling good about ourselves. But we also knew that Duke was a huge challenge. They're a great team. They've got a little bit of everything. They've got 2 of the best players in the nation on their team, and their center, Elizabeth Williams, and their point guard, Chelsea Gray. And they're the only team left in the country that's undefeated. We had hoped we would come out and give them everything they wanted and then some, and come out on the winning side of that. But it wasn't that meant to be that day. I did not think we played particularly well. And we've talked a lot about that in the last couple of days, and we're just really, really, really excited to have a chance to play again tonight. And that's what I told the players. They were pretty down after the Duke game. I said, look, that's the best part about this time of year. You got another game. We're not in March. We're still growing. We are still trying to improve every single day we walk out on the floor. And I think that's what's the most important for our team, and what we're trying to teach our players and what they're learning and trying to be is that we want to win the day. Every day we walk out there, we try to get better. And we know that we're going to take, we took a lick against Duke, but how are we going to respond against Clemson tonight? So we're really excited about that, really excited about the players. A little bit about them. We have 3 that are averaging double figures. We have a 4th that's just right under double figures. Really share the basketball. And when we're playing at our best basketball, I think we do a phenomenal job of sharing the basketball and getting out in transition and being unselfish, whether it's hitting Kiwi for a 3 or whether it's throwing it to De'Erica for a layup or Chelsea Douglas D'ing somebody up. And it's been really rewarding to see our players we talk about doing their role and understanding what those roles are and what we need to be successful. Questions? Any? Go ahead, Rob. Recruiting, and in the 13 class, we have 5 seniors, so we have 5 that'll be graduating and leaving us in May, and we signed 5 early. We have 3 young ladies from here in the state of North Carolina. Yes, 3 from North Carolina, 1 from Virginia, and 1 from South Carolina. The one young lady from South Carolina has her first scrimmage tore ACL. So we've had one go down and have surgery. She's had a hard time with that, but she's doing well. She's had a sister and a dad that both had it. It's one of those things where you try to explain to a senior who's really looking forward to her senior year that if it was going to happen, it was best it happened now because she should be full and ready to go come fall. But it's hard for a senior to understand that. She would probably rather wait for her senior year and happen. But really excited. They bring a little bit of everything to the table. We've got a couple guards in there that can be point guards, can score. We've got a couple. We have a forward from down in Charlotte area who is an athletic slashing type forward who's having to play some point guard for her high school team. So she's getting a lot of experience this year at a lot of different things. And then we signed a local kid out of East Surrey High School who is a phenomenal all-around athlete, student, just a great, great kid that's going to be very skilled for us. So we're excited about them. The 5 of them being a big group and really bringing in the work ethic and the kind of player and the kind of kid that we want to establish that our program is going to recruit and be about. Any others? Okay, we play Clemson tonight at 6:30, so we'd love to see as many of you as we possibly can get there. It'll be Clemson comes in struggling, but their team I have a lot of respect for. Their coach is an alum of her university as well, so obviously that means a lot to me to be here home and kind of living my dream. And but it's a game that we've talked to our players about. We need to set the tone early, and we want to set it with our defense and create our offense and really squash any kind of chance. So we got to, our kids are anxious. They're kind of just anxious to get out and play again. They're hungry. I think we got one more question. Our current freshmen, Candace Ball and Chambeaux are our two current freshmen. Candace is a center from Pulaski, Virginia, who is continuing to get better every day. She spent a lot of time on the scout team over the Christmas break, and we as a staff talk about we saw a lot of growth in her, just getting that many reps, and really it could be a physical presence for us in the future. And then Chambeaux, who is we've moved her to the guard. She was kind of a post coming out of high school, but she's a little smaller for that, whose brother played for Notre Dame. Prince was a linebacker, and Christelle is, trying to understand. She's a little overwhelmed with the move from post to guard and with the college game, but she's been a great, she comes to practice every day with a smile on her face, pushes her teammates, does what we ask her to do. So, I think both of those are kind of understanding. We talk about it a lot. It's tough because freshmen don't understand right now what they're about ready to face, because now classes start back in their high school seasons. The time and duration is about to the point where they would have been done. So their legs, they start to feel them a little bit more. But both of those come in trying to get better every day and just trying to be great teammates right now. So we don't project that either one will be a huge impact for us on the court, but they definitely are a huge impact in practice every day for us. Go ahead.
Quick question. I apologize. You were watching the team very much. I saw you play North Carolina State. And I thought you played a great game. What did you do to prepare? Just briefly mention how you analyzed that game and what you did to prepare.
Well, NC State is Kelly Harper, their coach, has been there, and they do a great job, and they play. There's a couple things that they really do. They really love to score in transition. And one of our biggest keys going into that game was we could not give up transition baskets. And they're really physical and tough with us. And that was what we were probably most disappointed in our Virginia Tech game. I thought they were more physical than us, and we didn't step up to that challenge. So I thought we really, as a staff, Coach Jada here was our assistant coach that scouted that. We really talked about having to be physical with them. We had to step up and match that physicality. They were, for those that were at that game, they were a little bit bigger and thicker just about at every position. And so I thought our players, for whatever reason too, our players, they really like to play NC State. Now there's a lot of them that kind of know each other. They grow up in the summers playing back, both Asia and Kiwi are from that area. So I think a lot of it was that. But I think our kids just really paid attention to our scouting report. We talked about specific players, taking strengths away, and how we were going to attack them and how we were going to, kind of put them back on their heels. And you could just tell this focus in our kids' eyes. And again, I think some of that is what we went through in our non-conference, starting to figure out who we are and what we were going to be about. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much, and go Deeks.
Thanks, Coach. Well, the men are 2-2, heading up to Blacksburg, and we were talking while we were eating about the older Castle Coliseum. It's one of those deals where the way it's configured, regardless of how many fans are there, it just gets loud, and Virginia Tech plays very well there. So the Deeks will have their hands full on Saturday, as you do every time you tee it up. So here to tell us about it, Coach of the Deeks, Jeff Bzdelik.
Thank you, Stan, and first and foremost, a heartfelt thank you for all of you coming out here and braving this weather. Appreciate your support and the impact that you have on our student athletes. Thank you so very, very much. Jen, good luck tonight. We'll get Virginia Tech. You get Clemson for us, okay? Speaking of Clemson, prior to our Clemson game, we had won 5 out of our last 6 and 6 out of our last 8. Our basketball team is getting better. No question about it. We'll talk about the Clemson game in a second here, but the reason we have won 6 out of our last 8 and 5 out of our last 6 prior to the Clemson game is that we're just simply getting better. C.J. Harris and Travis Mackay in their last 8 games are just playing extremely well. C.J., I think, is shooting 61% from the arc in his last 8 games, averaging 18, almost 19 points a game. Travis, same thing. He's shooting almost 49% from the floor, 17 points per game. So they're up. Our 2 upperclassmen they've really stepped up and have provided great leadership, not only off the court and in the locker room, but with their play as well. Devin Thomas, over his last 5 games, is averaging almost 11 rebounds per game, and prior to that was averaging only about 5, almost 6 rebounds a game. So he has really has been a dominant force inside for us, not only defensively with his physical play, but with his rebounding as well. And we want to run, and he does an outstanding job of outletting that basketball. We also, in our last 10 games, we've only lost a turnover battle one time, and that was at Duke. So we're doing a better job of taking care of that basketball and not giving our opponents easy points off turnovers we can't defend. Also, too, we're getting to the free throw line at a very, very high rate. We're attacking well. We're learning about spacing. We're 5th in the country in getting to the free throw line. So that's a great stat right there as well. But, our basketball team, our young guys are getting better. They're understanding the physicality and the speed and quickness of this game. They're understanding about all the details, transition defense, defense. Our defense has gotten better. All sorts of things are starting to come together. They're understanding their roles, being a little bit more comfortable. Now, with the Clemson game, I thought that, Clemson's a team that wants to keep the game in the 40s, 50s. They're a very physical team. I think their physicality really just caught us by surprise and got us on our heels, even though we prepared our players for that. Until they really felt it, they were really reeling in terms of understanding how tough Clemson wants to play. When we lost, we were up 11-9, and then Devin Thomas picked up his second quick foul. Travis McKay picked up right after that, the very next possession, his second foul, and they went to the bench. And when we put those two players on the bench, Clemson went on a 15-2 run, and we never quite recovered from that. We battled, we competed, but we had dug ourselves too deep of a hole and then really couldn't shoot the ball at all. We had opportunities to the rim. We missed layups or they erased them with their ability to block shots, and we also missed open shots on top of that. But we move forward. We're anxious to practice again this afternoon to continue to get better, and we will do that, and we're looking forward to the challenge on Saturday against Virginia Tech. I know you have questions. There has to be, I'm sure. Anybody? Yes, sir. Well, first of all, one of my New Year's resolutions was to never use the word freshman, because that would be an excuse, and we don't want to go that way. But the reality is, yes, what we've done is this. When I knew that we would have a great majority of young players, what we did was we gave them 4 days off over Christmas. So we looked at the schedule and we said, you know what, let's have a big gap here, so that it would be like a second season to them. They could get away from 4, almost 5. The way we had the timing of practice, it was like 5 days off. So they could go home and not worry about basketball and get away from the academic rigors and all those kinds of things. And they really, we came back and we had some great practices where we really focused in on toughness. I mean, we challenged them about you're going to do this task. I don't care if it takes us. And we stuck on one drill where we had to make, like, for example, 110 shots in 4 minutes. And we failed the first 3 times. We got up to 107, 108. No, we're going to do this. We will do this. I don't care if we're here for 3 hours. You will do this. And so we've been doing things just to get them mentally tougher. And they've responded, and we've been playing really, knock on wood, pretty well. So they had that break. Now, the other aspect is, I've shortened practice. I really have. I've given them, I'll go up to them and say, okay, like tomorrow, we'll practice. I got 60 minutes here, guys. You give me 60 minutes of your very, very best, mentally, physically, individually, collectively. We'll get that. We'll move on. And in other words, I'm trying to keep them fresh because I know that is an issue, and so we're aware of it, and we're doing those kinds of things to make sure that we don't have that where they hit the wall. Yes, sir.
What's your take on the Virginia Tech game, and what are we going to have to do to win the game?
Well, first of all, I was disappointed in the way we came out mentally in terms of our intensity, physically, emotionally, against Clemson. I thought for whatever reason we were on our heels the entire game. You know, they hit us and we didn't really respond. Not everybody. I mean, Clemson did a great job of taking C.J. Harris and Travis McKay out of the game, and others had to rise to the occasion. Against Virginia Tech, we have to have a great mindset. In fact, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to meet with my three captains, CJ and Travis and Chase, and they need to internally get to our young players and have them understand the mindset that we need to have on the road. Now, I thought our players played fearless at Cameron the first ACC game. I did. We just weren't quite good enough in the way we played at that moment. But against Clemson, I just didn't think we responded real well, and I was disappointed in that. So our mindset has to be great. That's number one, to be road warriors. Number two is we need a third consistent and even a fourth scorer. It can't just be CJ and Travis and put all that pressure on them. So we need to be better offensively. Our defensive transition has to be great because Virginia Tech's a team that wants to run up and down the court. We do too, but we can't be one-way runners. So our defensive transition has to be rock solid, and we need to have a mindset that we are going to go in there and we're going to win this game, impose our will, play with great force, great belief, great determination that we will win this game. And that's the mindset that we've been working on with our younger players. Yes, sir.
I thought it was interesting that in both the Virginia game and the Boston College game, there were times when we passed up a good shot for another pass and passed up another good shot for yet another pass and maybe a third pass, but then we get a layup or something, and it was almost like a bit of an offensive clinic and a little bit like the Globetrotters against the Nationals, which was refreshing to see because, you know, we sometimes have those passing clinics and easy buckets delivered to us by Carolina or Duke or whoever. But, I mean, I guess that's just the freshmen getting more and more comfortable with where people are and who their teammates are and all, because there were times we were amazed at passing up shots, but most of those possessions ended up with an even easier shot, and that was encouraging.
Well, that's something that's been a focus of ours. First of all, you have to have unselfish players, and we have to reinforce that. And I know just the other day we had a couple guys take some shots, and I said, "Whoa, stop. That's a good shot. There's no doubt that that's a good shot, but if you make one more pass, that's even a better shot." And so that's been a focus of ours. And we do a lot of things in practice to understand decision-making. For example, today in practice, we were just right before I came here, as we discussed with the staff what we're going to do, we have a drill called baseline drive, baseline drift drill. Well, when you drive baseline, how do you space out? And how then do we use our walk-on players to just scramble a little bit out of that defensively, then we have to make decisions. I thought a big play, for example, in the Clemson game, when Travis picked up his second foul, like I said, we were up 11-9 and we lost Travis. Well, what happened on that, Travis drove baseline and Devin Thomas didn't go where he was supposed to go, and Travis kept going, did not play off of 2 feet, which is a mistake. And he charged, and he picked up his second foul. Now, as Travis drove, played off of 2 feet. We'll have that on film today so they can learn. We always do a quick edit so they can learn and get better and they can see. If he'd have come to a jump stop and Devin was where he was supposed to be, Devin would have had a dunk, and Travis not would have had his second foul. And maybe now we're up, 13-9, and no Travis on the bench. All those little things matter greatly, and we work on it every day. Yes, sir.
I wanted you to speak to a change that maybe in the whole philosophy of fundamental basketball. 50 years ago, there was a do and a don't among many. One do was follow your shot. One don't was don't bounce pass in the paint. Now, I realize the transition game came in very shortly thereafter, 50 years ago, and that's affected most. But I would like you to comment about that in general, not necessarily what you do or teach.
Well, Jen spoke of defensive transition, and that's such a big key. I mean, you can't give up easy baskets. So we work on defensive transition. We all do every day. So, following your own shot, it depends where and how and who. We call it getting back on the raise. When a player raises to shoot the basketball, we have to have at least 2 players back, one in the backcourt and one just almost between the top of the key and the backcourt. And then the other 3 players, we work really hard on offensive rebounding. We are 5th now in the ACC in offensive rebounding. That's another area that we've improved upon. Through the non-conference, we were 10th in offensive rebound production and offensive rebounds. And now, since 4 games into the ACC, we're 5th. And there's a science to it. And our younger players are understanding, how to go into the baseline and come back out, spacing, all these little things, understanding the rim and where most shots are missed, all these kinds of things. Early on, they would just look and ball watch. They weren't getting back. They weren't going to the glass. So there's a science to defensive transition, and again, that's a huge, huge key on Saturday for us. As far as passing the ball into the post, there's a connection there between the post player sealing, the open hand, and the man throwing the ball into the post. And that's an area we need to do a better job of. We really do. We miss people in the post, and we need to get better at that. Yes, sir.
Watching shoot-arounds, looks like that Madison has dramatically improved since I saw him in December. He hasn't shot it in the games yet. I just wondered if I'm seeing correctly, it doesn't show up in practice.
Yeah, no, Madison, I think, is a young player who he does so many things well. He really does. He defends well. He pushes the ball. We want to run. He's not afraid. He's fearless. He gets into the paint. Sometimes he gets a little too deep and leaves his feet and gets caught. But that's okay. We can temper that. Yeah, his shooting has to improve. His free throw shooting has to improve. I told him simply this. I said, I want to play you late in the game, but I can't play you late in the game if you're not a very good free throw shooter, because you're going to have the ball in your hands. And so, that needs to improve. We work every day on shooting. We shoot a lot, form shooting. But again, it's like me going to the driving range. I'm a terrible golfer. I don't even try it anymore, to be honest with you, but I can go hit 2 buckets of balls, and I'm just constantly hitting it wrong, so it doesn't matter. You got to practice perfectly in order to improve, and that's where we're, who does a great job is Rusty LaRue, because Rusty could shoot the basketball, and Rusty does a great job of working with their form, their hand placement. Madison has a tendency to lift his head a lot, and that throws everything off. But he's getting better. Aaron Roundtree is the same way. And they're also understanding their strengths and weaknesses. For example, when Madison and Aaron come off screens, we want them curling more so they get into the lane and create stunts and get into the lane to draw fouls and create opportunities for others, and also get into an area where they're better suited with their shot within their range. Yes, sir.
First, let me say that you are doing a fantastic job at Wake Forest, and we're very lucky to have you. Very lucky.
Thank you so much, and I just want to, I know you probably have another question. I appreciate that. Listen, I get this. The bottom line is to win. I get this. And no one has felt more pain than I have over these couple of years. But we've got a great group of young men. I don't even worry about these young men for classrooms or just. Mike Odom will tell you on Monday at 5 o'clock, all the fraternities and sororities they're having their meetings. Every single one of our players are going out there to talk to these fraternities and sororities, and they're connecting slowly with everybody here on campus. So with only one senior and one junior, and the people we have coming in, please continue to support these young guys. They care, and they're doing the right thing.
It's nice to have a team we can be proud of again. With that said, if the team's coming in to scout us now, they understand that if they get us in foul trouble, that's going to be a weakness. Lack of size, depth, and just back up right there. So did you guys thank the staff after the game the other night? I know you tried to buy as much time as you could with the boys on the bench. Will you rethink that from the future going on, where if we get in trouble at Virginia Tech, we just have to play through it instead of sitting guys taking a chance?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm always going to be honest with you. Devon Thomas is really the heart and soul of this basketball team. He really is inside. He's a handful, and I think I always tell him, Alyssa over at Maryland always reminds me to tell him that he's only the second best player in the family, and that really gets into him. Sometimes I tell him that during a timeout. Alyssa's watching right now. But, right, and we've got a couple of clips today. For example, he had 2 unnecessary fouls against Clemson where he's so into being physical that him and Booker were battling 15 feet from the hoop. He didn't need to contest his position up there. So he needs to understand that he needs to, 90% of fouls are defensive mistakes, as we tell him. I might have to go to a little zone, to be honest with you, which I don't like to do, but might have to. Again, we have to do a better job of, like I said, Travis picked up an unnecessary foul, not playing off of 2 feet, and Devin, needs to understand how to control his physicality. So we need to do a better job of that. But there might be some games I might have to just ride it and just let it go for a while. You're right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Chase Fisher and his outside shooting, I guess I was perceived that he was a pretty good outside shooter when he came here.
Well, you know what? Chase is shooting 50% from the three-point arc. I think he's 20 for 40. So that's pretty good. Chase is, I've had long talks with Chase. He's in his second year. And he's playing behind our best player, who's the second leading scorer in the ACC, C.J. Harris. So, I can't keep C.J. When I put him on the bench, it's like I keep looking at him. Okay, you just sat down, you rested. Let's get back in there. And so he understands that he's playing behind our best player and one of the best players in the ACC. So, it might seem like he's on a short leash, and it's hard for a guy like that to get real comfortable, to be honest with you. And he just needs to just bide his time. He's got a great attitude. He plays with a lot of spunk and courage out there, and he's feisty, and he's going to be fine. And again, he's shooting 50% from the arc. So it's tough just coming in and out. But he knows that when CJ leaves next year that the door's open for him. So, yes, sir.
We're local, and we've gotten a chance to watch CJ develop as a player through the Mount Tabor years in their state championship, and he clearly has. But you've gotten a chance to see him develop as a person, too, and a leader. And you put a lot on him as a senior. Talk a little bit about the importance of his development as a person, because we've known him back to the Easter Site days and all of that. But he truly has become quite a leader with a lot that you put on him.
No, yeah, CJ is just awesome, absolutely awesome. And everybody talks about leadership, for example. Well, we need to teach them how to be a leader, because there's good leaders and bad leaders, and we do a lot of things to promote that. And so I've had CJ. We had a U.S. Marine come in over Christmas break. He was in charge of over 300 Marines in combat in Afghanistan, and he lost his entire leg, half his arm, half his stomach, and he's still in the Marines. And he came and he talked to our players, and it was a very touching and informative, emotional talk about leadership. For example, he's still in the Marines, and he still trains young Marines. And he said, and he actually just, he opened up his sleeve, and his whole arm was sewn back, and he lifted up his pant leg, and they're missing a leg, and he said, you know what? No pity parties here with me. I'm not going to let this overcome me. And he taught our players about leadership, and just had private conversations with our captains about how he would lead 300 young Marines into combat on a daily basis, and so we just do a lot of things like that, bring those kinds of people in to talk to our players so that they grow with their leadership. And CJ's really bought into that. And he in a quiet way has done a great job. Just with his work ethic, players see how hard he works. So He's been awesome. Any other questions? Yes?
Every game you see progress. Now, Clemson be a little bit harder to find it, but
I agree.
after looking at the tape, though, was there progress made in certain areas there? And the second question, what can we do to prevent Clemson from beating us Saturday?
Well, first of all,
I mean, Virginia Tech beating us. Clemson beating us at Virginia Tech.
yeah, and one of the things I think that we've grown on with our basketball team is, we saw it in Virginia Tech and we saw it with Virginia too, is sometimes with young players, and I'm sure Jen will agree with me, with young players, when your offense isn't going well, it diffuses everything else about your game defensively and your effort, and you're worried about your shot, and instead of defending, you're looking at your hands and all that other stuff, right? And like you're looking over at mom and dad, the whole deal. But what we've done is it can't diffuse our energy, and early on in the year it was, and I thought we continued to defend and fight through it, and so that's a positive. That's a positive. Again, going back to what we have to do Saturday is we got to be tougher. What is toughness? Toughness isn't hitting somebody. Toughness is running your offense under duress. No matter what they do, you're going to impose your will to get to where you're supposed to get to, catch the ball where you're supposed to get to. I spent 17 years in the NBA, and I've been to the NBA playoffs 9 times. And I'll tell you what, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. Well, it's your job to get the ball where you're supposed to get to, be where you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and I don't care what you're going to impose your will to do that, and that's what we have to understand, and that's what we have to do, and we didn't do that against Clemson. They physically pushed us out, and that can't happen Saturday, and you know what? It won't, and that's our mindset.
Thank you for what you're doing, and Duke didn't beat us twice, and that's the positive to me, because we go through, we played the best we could, we played the next game, and we came out victorious. Just keep up that effort.
We will, and we're looking forward to getting Duke back here. Trust me. I think I have time for one more question. Yes, sir.
What's the status of Green?
Daniel Green.
And also the performance of Kavanaugh comment on that?
Yeah, Green and Kavanaugh. Daniel Green brings a tear to my eye. Daniel Green would have been a starter. I'd never seen a player work as hard as he at any level. He went from 190 to 225. He and Devin Thomas would have been a great force together inside. They would battle like you can't believe. Daniel Green is a quiet young man, comes from an unbelievable family, and doesn't say a whole lot, but boy, when he does say something, it really sticks. He's one of our great internal leaders. He tore his ACL up in Canada. He will be ready, knock on wood. He's doing great. He's walking. He's getting ready he's riding the bike right now, but he won't be ready until the fall, really. In the summertime, he'll be able to start playing basketball. And we're just going to take it slow with him. Kavanaugh the other night, yeah, he had wide open shots. And there's a part of me that says, son, it ain't going for you tonight. Stop shooting. But you know what? He's wide open, and he hasn't shot it well, but it's all from the neck up. So I got to give him confidence. So I made the decision, you're open, shoot the ball. That's what you do. Shoot it. Now, my wife asked me, why'd you tell him that? After the game when I got home. But, he was missing layups and all sorts of stuff, but he battled, and, I thought he made one of the best plays against Boston College the other day that didn't show up in the box score, and I'll leave you with this. He hustled back in transition. He sprinted so hard. He beat everybody down the court, and he fouled Ryan Anderson, their best player. Took a layup away from Ryan Anderson. Ryan Anderson missed those 2 free throws. I showed our team that play. Tyler will give you everything he's got, so I love him for that. I just wish he'd make a shot every once in a while. Thank you, and go Deeks.
All righty. Get out your little tickets. Thank both coaches for coming out today, and we'll give away some tickets here. First game tonight. 6:30. Don't be late. 6:30. Last three digits, 146. 146, okay? Deeks rebounded pretty well at Clemson. Out-rebounded the Tigers, which I thought was just an observation for whatever it's worth. We asked, just a couple of days before we went down there, Randolph Childress about Clemson. He had two of his toughest games shooting were at Clemson. And Rusty said, yeah, it's tough. I don't know what it is about that building, but they struggle to shoot there as well. All right, 2 women's tickets against Miami, 197. 197. Okay? Yeah. All right, a couple of men's tickets, 2 to NC State next Tuesday. I think the Wolfpack shot 23% in the first half last night and lost. It happens, right? Lost at Maryland. All righty. 147. 147. Going once. No? All right, we'll try again. 217. 217. Okay. And the last 2 tickets against Duke. The Dukies. End of this month. 166. All right. The next luncheon, Thursday the 17th. No, that's today. Hang on. February 7. Football. Don't miss it. 6:30. Don't be late. We encourage you to go there. If not, Coach and I'll be on the radio at 7 o'clock. Go Deeks.